Hi friends, welcome back. Today we have a quick one. We're making something like Bergamask from Orto, Parisi. This was released in 2014. The perfumer is Alessandro Galtieri, the owner of Orto Parisi, also the owner and creator of Nasamato. This is from a very old Facebook post. And by very old, I mean about 10 years, from June of 2014. Via Scent and Chemistry's Facebook page. This is 9 lines. It's incredibly simple, straightforward. Looking at the structure of the fragrance, half of it is in sandalwood, almost the other half is in citrus, and then you have a little splattering of musks and a little bit of Ambrocenide. It's a unique formula, I'll tell you that, and I've never seen so much Javanol in a formula before. So today we are going to make an 8-gram, I'm going to make an 8-gram batch. The end concentrate will be 25%. So this will be in the extrait de parfum range. I have no idea what the actual, concentrate is of the original, but we're going to see how this goes. I want to start with the Javanol. We're going to start with all of the sandalwood materials. Not only is Javanol a beautiful sandalwood material, this is the most interesting pipette I've ever seen. Let me get it on. It's been smashed. All right, whatever. Not only is Javanol a beautiful sandalwood note, it is very strong. The sandalwood notes range in strength. You have something like Osirol, I can't smell, cannot smell it. Something like Sandella or Sandalore is a little bit more detectable by my nose. And then you get into Ebanol, Bactinol, Polysantol, which are even more detectable by my nose. And then you've got Javanol, which is a slap in the face of sandalwood. It even, to my nose, it has a very beautiful floral, like rosy top to it. Because it's a single molecule, it stays pretty linear. And it's thick. All right, should be good. And let's get this in here. So I've got almost, oh boy, a lot of this is going to get stuck in the pipette, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get close, and then I'm going to pull the alcohol. I've already got about 2 grams of alcohol, of ethanol, in the bottle here. All right. Let's try to clean this out a little bit. Wonderful. Javanol is in. Next, let's do our Ebanol. The Ebanol is also going to be at 100%. Ooh, it's still a little cold. I think we'll be okay. I just pulled this out of the fridge. I realized I didn't have enough ethanol at 10%. So I had to use just ethanol neat, but I had to pull it out of the fridge. 10% of the concentrate is neat, or 10% of the concentrate is Ebanol. And again, Ebanol is one of the more strong sandalwood notes. It lasts just as long, lasts a very long time. Okay, Ebanol, done. And next up, Polysantol. Ooh. Yep. Another oh gosh, I don't even have enough Polysantol. Yep. So I'm going to make a dilution later of Polysantol, but I did get Polysantol out of the fridge Yeah, so let's just use neat Polysantol. Have to do some on-the-fly math because in my formula, given the batch size, I need 0.6 grams of Polysantol at a 10% dilution. 0.6 grams at 10%. But if I'm using neat Polysantol, that means I need 0.06 grams. And then I'll fill the rest up with ethanol until we get to 6. So I put in 0.06 and now I'm just going to put more ethanol in here until we get to 0.6 grams. Then I'll have my 10% dilution. Right. Now, I know it's not a sandalwood, but ISO-E Super has a warm, woody, ambery, you know, it's got the same vibe. It's got a similar vibe. So let's throw it in and then we'll treat this as our first base accord that we will dip and test. Okay. Okay. Should be a nice base. We are all about that base.
I'm all about that bass, bass.
A nice base is what you smell hours after you apply a fragrance. So remember, when I dip, you dip, we dip.
When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Good. And I'll just title that one number 1. Not very difficult today. We got a quickie. This is going to be a quickie. Next up, let's add our musks and animalic notes. There are 3. The first is going to be Ambrocenide. Not musky. Definitely animalic. It's ambery. It is definitely ambery, but it's also a little dirty. Definitely has an animalic quality. Maybe animalic is the wrong word because it does not smell like an animal. It doesn't smell like muscone, which is like wet dog fur. It doesn't smell like castoreum, which is leathery. It's beaver sack. It doesn't smell like civet, which is fecal. Hyraceum, which is Uranus. It's more of a like plant-based, natural, almost like indole, the smell of rotting. I don't know, it's a hard one to pin down. If I smell a corollary, I will tell you so I can better communicate what it smells like. The next up is Muscone. Muscone to me is very similar to muscanone. I believe it's a molecule that is found in real deer musk, Tonkin deer musk, which is effectively, I think they're a protected species now. So you can't get deer musk anymore unless perhaps you live in Russia and you hunt the little guys, and I don't know if they control the population. I don't know what they do, but anyway, long story short, this stuff smells nice. They don't get this from deer musk. I don't know how they synthesize it, but it's a beautiful, smooth, warm, slightly animalic musk note. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then next up, Musk Ketone. Also has an animalic quality to it. Musk Ketone to me is dense. It's very dense, it's heavy. But it has that nitro musk feel to it, where it's got a soapy, waxy, fatty edge to a heavy, musky core. Great. Let's shake. I think we'll shake it like a Polaroid picture. I think that's how you do it. You guys are great at correcting me when I do it wrong, so tell me if I did that correctly. Okay. let's dip. And let's put number 2. Now, next up, I just guessed, okay? Because in the post, it says the top notes are Mandarin and Bergamot. And this differs with what's in Fragrantica, which shows, for example, I think jasmine, lavender, what else? Lavender, lily of the valley, orange blossom, tonka bean. None of that's in here. What is in here is some mix of bergamot, supposedly, bergamot and yellow mandarin. I didn't know how much. I don't have the original. I have not tested this at all. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get out the big boy. We're going to put in some yellow mandarin. We're going to put in some bergamot. And we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to wing it. I'm putting in quite a bit. Clearly this is neat. Oh, it smells so lovely. Mandarin to me is a slightly more mellow lemon. Like lemon is extremely bright. Quite zingy, if I may say. Yellow mandarin has a less of a zing and more of a fuzz to it. It's still a little high pitched, it's still bright, but it just, I don't know, lemon is like a ringing in your ears, you know. Yellow mandarin is more of a nice hum. Still relatively high pitched, but I like it. Next up, and finally, bergamot. Fair bit of bergamot, 25% of the concentrate is in bergamot. Okay. Almost. Wonderful. Wonderful. That's it. Friends, that is it. Okay, now this formula, simple though it is still expensive. If I were to make a kilo of the concentrate, it would cost me, given the pricing I have, about $900. That's an expensive concentrate. I'm sure when they are making it, it's at a lower price. That's how the world works. But if I were to make this, it'd cost about $1,000. That's expensive. Most of it, I think, comes from the Javanol. The Javanol is definitely the most expensive part of this formula. All right. Dip. We'll write number 3. We'll test. And we'll call it a day. Can't believe how easy that was. Okay. So let's smell our base. This is just the sandalwood materials. The overdose of Javanol, I'm just expecting to smell Javanol with a little extra, soft sandalwood support. Yeah. I'm really just getting Javanol. But why wouldn't I? There's so much Javanol in this thing. I would imagine the Ebanol, the Polysantol, and even the Isoe Super just helps give a little bit more body and roundness to a beautiful molecule that is Javanol. Yeah, this is very nice. It's very nice and very straightforward. Then we only added 3 materials: Ambrocenide, Muscone, and Musk Ketone. Let's see if we can smell a difference in how they contribute. First and foremost, these tone down that rosy floral note that exists within the Javanol. The Ambrocenide is so subtle, but I think so necessary. As you viewers know, especially if you've been with me for a while, most fragrances don't work unless they have something a little funky in there, whether it be an animalic note, that indole, which smells of kind of rotting, tooth decay type weird smell, civet, which is straight up fecal, even the brightest, smoothest formula needs something like that. The Ambrocenide dosage here is wonderful because it's giving that little bit of color, that little hint of reality. Because in reality, everything we smell, there's something, we're either smelling our body odor, our friend's body odor, we're smelling the trash outside, you know, it just gives it a little something, but that's wonderful. And next up, finally, we only added bergamot, a lot of bergamot and a fair bit of mandarin. Interesting. We used about, what would I say? I haven't done the math on this. Maybe 3/5 bergamot, 2/5 mandarin. That's the citrus top. Now, the mandarin is really coming through, even though it's bergamot heavy. So that's kind of an interesting note. Mandarin might dominate over the bergamot. Underneath, you get a hint of sweet sandalwood. Now, the bergamot's going to dry down in a hot minute. The citrus is going to dry down in a hot minute. That's going to disappear. And I'm excited to see, what do we get when we just have the muscone? Actually, I know what we get. We get strip number 2. And this is nice. This is very nice. Let's smell it on the skin. Yeah. Yeah, it's just so simple and yet wonderful. Citrus is strong on top. Underneath is a sandalwood musk. You got a floral note from the Javanol. You have an animalic note both from the Muscone and the Musk Ketone. And the Ambrocenide. The Ambrocenide is so subtle. This is ridiculously simple. Is this Bergamask? Probably not, but maybe it's close. I would imagine that Scent and Chemistry, whoever runs this Facebook, did a GCMS analysis and then, you know, put this together. But I think as far as a formula goes, it's easy. There's not many ingredients. And I think here's a chance to experiment with a little guidance. Give it a try. Let the class know what substitutions you made. And as usual, thanks for joining me.